one of the questions that we start off with every interview is completing the sentence, the essence of democracy is. How would you describe that?
It indeed is the voice of the people, and in a real sense, and ensuring that the people get engaged in the process of determining their own future. But it also means rules and regulations. It means agreed rules and regulations about how to behave. What is it that is allowed? What is it that is permitted in terms of the expression of that will of the people? It can't be anyhow. But so you've got agreed rules and regulations, which become part of your democratic construct.
Just take a few steps back and speak about Rwanda. 25-year anniversary of the genocide, 100 days, about 800,000 people killed. Can you take us back to that moment? Where were you at the time? What can you remember of that moment during April of 1994 that was taking place in Rwanda?
Before the genocide, it must have been at the beginning of the year 1994. There was a delegation that visited the ANC here from Rwanda, from the Rwanda Patriotic Front. They came to see the ANC, and they said to us that I was head of the international department of the ANC at the time, so I had to receive them. And they said to us that South Africa was selling weapons to the government of Rwanda. And the intelligence that they had, the Rwanda Patriotic Front, was that those weapons would be used in Rwanda to kill many people. Could therefore we do something as the ANC about it? So we then I contacted Big Botha, with then foreign minister. So I spoke to Peck. I said, look, they have got these people from Rwanda. This is what they are saying. You have to see them because the matter they are raising is very serious. So indeed he did. They met with Peck at his offices that in the union buildings and raised this matter. So much later they tell me the man, one of the people who was in that delegation of the RPF, became the first Rwandan ambassador here after 1984. So he was telling me that they did meet Minister Big Botha, raise this matter. Unfortunately, they actually had invoices showing this sale of weapons.
The sale of the arms, yeah.
Yeah, so it was not just verbal. This was, here's this concrete proof. And the response, which was very, very unfortunate, of the government then was that they said to me that what the government said, what Peck said, look, this issue of sale of weapons is to us business. We sell to whoever is prepared to buy and pay us. Yeah. So when I first went to Rwanda, after the democratic thing, when I was still a deputy president, I said them publicly to the Rwandans, you know, all of us, particularly coming from the ANC, we feel very unhappy with ourselves because the genocide in Rwanda starts on the 7th of April. And the elections here, the first democratic elections, take place 20 days later. So we were very, very preoccupied with change in South Africa. I think the challenge to manage this change in South Africa became so overwhelming that for some weeks we actually did forget about Rwanda, unfortunately. But that was reality.
How do you deal with these relationships and the antagonism that takes place between different countries when we are saying let's have a united Africa, let's have an Africa that we can say we have faith in and we are able to invest our resources in, as a country, or rather as a continent?
You are right, there was this tension between South Africa and Rwanda, which personally I think must be addressed. Some 2 years back, or thereabouts, President Kagame and President Zuma, they meeting in Luanda, in Angola, they agreed that they must address this tension and remove it, and agreed on practical steps that needed to be taken. At some point I visited Kigali, and I was briefed about this arrangement both by the South African High Commissioner as well as President Kagame. And nothing had moved. So when I came back home, I raised it with the government to say, really, let's implement what had been agreed by these presidents.
Have you been able to ascertain from your engagement with President Paul Kagame's government what is causing the tension?
Well, the Rwandans, sure, they've got the government here, as I understand it, have complained that the government of Rwanda has intervened illegally against Rwandans who've taken refuge in South Africa, and people getting killed and all that. And quite correctly, the South African government says, no, it's a very correct position. You can't do things like that. On the other hand, when I talk to the Rwandan government, President Kagame, they say we are serving as a base, South Africa is, for forces that intend to overthrow the government of Rwanda. So people are organizing from here to overthrow that government. Why is South Africa taking that position? There's an older decision between the two countries that we are strategic partners. So they were saying to me now, the Rwandans, that strategic partners can't work like this against each other. Many of them say this transition in '94 from apartheid to democracy was too good to be true. Something will go wrong.